Let's take a look at what is deductive approach. It's also known as rule-driven or top-down. The class starts off with the teacher explaining the rules, followed by numerous examples to exemplify the rules, and this is followed by practice, where the teacher will gauge if the students can apply the rule. Here are some guidelines when explaining the rules. Number 1. Rules must always be true. Number 2. When explaining the rules, make sure that the limits and the exceptions to the rules are clarified. Number 3. When explaining the rules, make sure they are kept simple and provided as clear as possible. Number 4. The rules must be related to the concepts already familiar to the learners, which is also known as prior knowledge. So, on the whole, what is a deductive lesson? It is where the teacher explains the rule in the beginning of the lesson. Language is often not authentic. The lesson is not very engaging. Students are forced to listen to the teacher's explanation, which makes the lesson very much a teacher-centered one. So, on the whole, deductive lesson is more aligned to a behaviorist approach to teaching. Let's take a look at what are the advantages and disadvantages of the deductive approach. The deductive approach is very much a direct one, and therefore it's time saving. Many of the rules can be explained quickly because it's in the control of the teacher, and there's more time for practice and application. Another advantage is that it respects the intelligence and maturity of students and acknowledges the role of cognitive processes in language acquisition. It also confirms many students' expectations about classroom learning, particularly for those with an analytical learning style. The deductive approach allows the teachers to deal with the language points as they come up rather than having to anticipate them and prepare for them in advance. Now let's look at the disadvantages of the deductive approach. Starting the lesson with a grammar explanation may be frustrating for some students, especially younger ones. They may not have sufficient meta language or may not be able to understand the concepts involved. The next disadvantage of this approach is that the grammar explanation encourages teacher fronted transmission style classroom. The explanation in a deductive lesson is seldom as memorable as other forms of presentation, such as demonstration. The deductive approach encourages the belief that learning a language is simple, a case of knowing the rules. So these are some of the advantages and disadvantages of the deductive approach.